The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. Chapter 1. Playing the Game of Life. Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle. It is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. And the Hebrew and the Christian scriptures give the rules of the game with wonderful clearness. Jesus Christ taught that it was a great game of giving and receiving. Quote, "Don't be deceived. God cannot be mocked or cheated. Where you sow, there you will reap." Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. This means that whatever you send out in word or deed will return to you. What you give, you will receive. If you give hate, you will receive hate. If you give love, you will receive love. If you give criticism, you will receive criticism. If you lie, you will be lied to. If you cheat, you will be cheated. We are taught also that the imagination plays a leading part in the game of life. Quote, "Most of all, watch over your heart," or imagination, because it's the wellspring of life. Proverbs 4, verse 23. This means that what a person imagines sooner or later externalizes in their affairs. I know of a man who feared a certain disease. It was a very rare disease and difficult to get, but he pictured it continually and read about it until it manifested in his body, and he died, the victim of distorted imagination. So we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imagination. A person trained to imagine only good brings into their life, quote, "the desires of their heart," Psalm 37, verse 4, which is health, wealth, love, friends, perfect self-expression, and their highest ideals. The imagination has been called, quote, "the scissors of the mind," end quote, and it is ever cutting day by day the pictures we see there. Sooner or later, we then meet our own creation in the outer world. To train the imagination successfully, humanity must understand the workings of their mind. The Greeks said, quote, "Know thyself," end quote. There are three departments of the mind: the subconscious, conscious, and the superconscious. The subconscious is simply power without direction. It is like steam or electricity. It does what it is directed to do. It has no power of induction. Whatever a person feels deeply or imagines clearly is impressed upon the subconscious mind and is carried out in smallest or minutest detail. For example, a woman I know, when a child, always made believe she was a widow. She dressed up in black clothes and wore a long black veil, and people thought she was very clever and amusing. She grew up and married a man with whom she was deeply in love. In a short time, he died, and she wore black and a sweeping veil for many years. The picture of herself as a widow was impressed upon the subconscious mind, and in due time worked itself out regardless of the havoc created. The conscious mind has been called the moral or carnal mind. It is the mind or human mind and sees life as it appears to be. It sees death, disaster, sickness, poverty, and limitation of every kind, and it impresses the subconscious. The subconscious mind is the divine mind. The superconscious mind is the divine mind within each person, and it is the realm of perfect ideas. In it, is the perfect pattern spoken of by Plato, the divine design, for there is a divine design for each person. Quote, there is a place that you are to feel and no one else can feel. Something you are to do which no one else can do. End quote. There is a perfect picture of this in the superconscious mind. It usually flashes across the conscious as an unattainable ideal. Quote, something too good to be true. End quote. In reality, it is your destiny or destination flashed to you from the infinite intelligence which is within yourself. Many people, however, are in ignorance of their true destination and are striving for things and situations which do not belong to them and would only bring failure and dissatisfaction if attained. For example, a woman came to me and asked me, quote, to speak the word that she would marry a certain man with whom she was very much in love or fond of. She called him AB. I replied that this will be a violation of spiritual law, but that I will speak the word for the right man, the divine selection, the man who belonged to her by divine right. I added, if AB is the right man, you can't lose him. And if he isn't, you will receive his equivalent. She saw AB frequently, but no headway was made in their relationship or friendship. One evening she called and said, quote, do you know, for the last week, AB hasn't seemed so wonderful to me. End quote. I replied, maybe he is not the divine selection. Another man may be the right one. Soon after that, she met another man who fell in love with her at once and who said she was his ideal. In fact, he said all the things that she had always wished AB would say to her. She remarked, it was quite uncanny. She soon returned his love and lost all interest in AB. This shows the law of substitution. A right idea was substituted for a wrong one. Therefore, there was no loss or sacrifice involved. Jesus Christ said, quote, seek ye first divinity's reign and divinity's justice, and all these things will be given to you besides. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all other things shall be added to you. Matthew 6, verse 33. And he said, the reign of divinity is already in your midst. Luke 17, verse 21. Divinity's reign is the realm of right ideas or the divine pattern. Jesus Christ taught that people's word play a divine or leading part in the game of life. Quote, your own words will either acquit or condemn you. Matthew 12, verse 37. Many people have brought disaster into their lives through idle words. For example, a woman once asked me why her life was now one of poverty, of limitation. Formerly, she had a home, was surrounded by beautiful things, and had plenty of money. We found she had once often got tired of the management of our home, and had said repeatedly, I'm sick and tired of things. I wish I lived in a trunk. She added, today I am living in that trunk. She had spoken herself into a trunk. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor, and people often joke themselves into unhappy experiences. For example, a woman who had a great deal of money joked continually about, quote, getting ready for the poor house, end quote. In a few years, she was almost destitute having impressed the subconscious mind with a picture of lack and limitation. Fortunately, the law works both ways, and a situation of lack may be changed to one of plenty. For example, a woman came to me one hot summer's day for a treatment for prosperity. She was worn out, dejected, and discouraged. She said she possessed just $8 in the world. I said, "Good. We'll bless the $8 and multiply them as Jesus Christ multiplied the loaves and the fishes." For he taught that everyone had the power to bless and to multiply, to heal and to prosper. She said, "What shall I do next?" I replied, "Follow intuition." Have you a hunch to do anything or to go anywhere? Intuition means to be taught from within. It is humanity's unerring guide, and I will deal more fully with it and its laws in the following chapter. The woman replied, "I don't know. I seem to have a hunch to go home. I've just enough money for car fare." Our home was a distant city and was one of lack and limitation, and the reasoning mind or intellect would have said, "Stay in New York and get work and make some money." I replied, "Then go home. Never violate a hunch." I spoke the following words for her, quote, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for great abundance, for," I mentioned the name, "she is an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to her by divine right." End quote. I told her to repeat it continually also. She left for home immediately. In calling on a woman one day, she linked up with an old friend of our family. Through this friend, she received thousands of dollars in a most miraculous way. She has said to me often, "Tell people about the woman who came to you with $8 and a hunch." There is always plenty in humanity's pathway. Man has plenty on his path, but it can only be brought into manifestation through desire, faith, or the spoken word. Jesus Christ brought about clearly that humanity must make the first move. Quote, "Ask and keep asking, and you will receive. Seek and keep seeking, and you will find. Knock and keep knocking, and the door will be opened to you." Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. In the scriptures we read, quote, "Concerning the works of my hands, command ye me." Isaiah 45, verse 11. Infinite intelligence, divinity, is ever ready to carry out humanity's smallest or greatest demands. Infinite intelligence is always ready to carry out man's greatest or smallest demands. Every desire, uttered or unexpressed, is a demand. We are often startled by having a wish suddenly fulfilled. For example, one Easter, having seen many beautiful rose trees in the florist windows, I wished I would receive one, and for an instant saw it mentally being carried in the door. Easter came, and with it a beautiful rose tree. I thanked my friend the following day and told her it was just what I had wanted. She replied, "I didn't send you rose tree, I sent you lilies." The man had mixed the order and sent me a rose tree simply because I had started the law in action and I had to have a rose tree. Nothing stands between a person and their highest ideal and every desire of their heart but doubt and fear. When people can, quote, "wish without worrying," end quote, every desire will be instantly fulfilled. I will explain more fully in the following chapter the scientific reason for this and how fear must be erased from the consciousness. It is man's only enemy. That is, fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of sickness, fear of loss, and a feeling of insecurity on some plane or level. Jesus said, quote, "Why are ye afraid? You have so little faith." Matthew 8, verse 26. So we can see we must substitute faith for fear. For fear is only inverted faith. It is faith in evil instead of good. The object of the game of life is to see clearly one's good and to obliterate all mental pictures of evil. This must be done by impressing the subconscious mind with a realization of good. A very brilliant man who had attained great success told me he had suddenly erased all fear from his consciousness by reading a sign which hung in a room. He saw printed in large letters this statement, quote, "Why worry? It will probably never happen," end quote. These words were stamped indelibly upon his subconscious mind, and he has now a firm conviction that only good can come into his life. Therefore, only good can manifest. In the following chapter, I will deal with the different methods of impressing the subconscious mind. It is man's faithful servant, but one must be careful to give it the right orders. Humanity has ever a silent listener at their side, the subconscious mind. Every thought, every word is impressed upon it and carried out in amazing detail. It is like a singer making a record on the sensitive disc of the photographic plate. Every note and tone of the singer's voice is registered. If they cough or hesitate, it is registered also. So let us break all the old bad records in the subconscious mind, the records of our lives which we do not wish to keep, and make new and beautiful ones. Speak these words aloud with power and conviction. Quote, "I now smash and demolish by my spoken word every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They shall return to the dust heap of their native nothingness, for they came from my own vain imaginings. I now make my perfect record through the Christ within, the records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression." End quote. This is the square of life, the game completed. In the following chapters, I will show how people can change their conditions by changing their words. Anyone who does not know the power of the word is behind the times. Quote, "Our tongue has the keys of both death and life, and we eat the fruit of everything we say." Proverbs 18, verse 21. End of chapter.